Hi, welcome back. I hope you had a lovely time with your meditation and that you found lots of really good information from the visions that you got and any sort of textures and colors. We're actually going to start getting down to the actual painting now. To start with, what I like to do is just pick a color, something dark. It doesn't have to be anything special, because we're going to write ourselves a little note on our canvas or paper, whatever you're using. I find that for this technique, canvas tends to be a little bit more durable, simply because it doesn't fall apart when it gets wet. And take a nice big brush, and I'm going to turn this. The wonderful thing about this technique is you never know until the end what direction your painting actually will end up being, what orientation. So you could start it in one direction and it'll end up at the at the finishing stages being a completely different direction. So it could start vertical and end up horizontal, or vice versa. Or if it's square, it could end up literally in any direction it wants to. So it's quite a fun adventure because you really have no control over what's going to happen. So I usually start by, like I said, I've got sandalwood oil in here, just a tiny bit. If you have too much oil in there, then it puts oil on your canvas, and it doesn't really help. It tends to make your colors not stick very well. And I just give it a little spray. I'm going to touch the canvas. I might spread out the moisture a little bit. Really feel the canvas, or paper, or wood, or whatever surface you're using, and get in touch with it. And for me, my intention, being here with you, is to guide. So that's what I'm going to write. As my intention. And then under that, I'm going to write a little note to myself. It can be as long or as short as you like. And I'm basically going to ask my inner self to guide this experience, to guide my hands in ways that will assist as much as possible in guiding you through this journey. So whatever it is that you have for your intention, and then whatever way makes you feel good to ask for that to appear. So you can simply say, you can start off a sentence with, show me how to, or lead me in, and then just continue writing until you feel the need to stop, really. So it can be as much writing or as little writing. It could be a sentence. It could be a couple more words, however much you want to write. And you just take a few moments to do that. And that's basically that. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be pretty. If you feel like you want to write more but you run out of room, you can turn your canvas and continue writing in a different direction. You can take as long as you need to with this step. Pause the video and just Take as much time as you need, and then when you're ready, you can start the video again and follow along. And for me, the next step after that is the first colors that you saw when you came through that archway. Pick 3 of the colors that you saw. Just 3, doesn't have to be anything monumental. If it's a blend of a color, that's fine. It could be a color straight out of a tube. Just go with what first spoke to you, and if it's changed, what's speaking to you now. So if, say, when you first walked through, the sky was purple, and now you're feeling kind of orangey, or now you're feeling green, who knows? Go within yourself for a moment and feel what feels good, and choose those 3 colors. For me, it's going to be, this is the craziest orange I have ever seen in my life. It's literally fluorescent orange. It's slightly horrifying to look at, but it actually is really pretty in the end. It does amazing things, and it will actually show up all the way through. You have no way to stop it from showing up later on in the painting. It will in some way show through, which is kind of interesting. And what do I want? And if you're new to painting, which some of you might be, you want to stick to either warm colors or cool colors per layer, so you don't get mud. I mean, you can get mud, it's no problem. If you have a craving for, say, blue and then orange and brown, then go ahead. But don't be surprised if it does end up being some funny colors. It won't hurt anything in the long run, but just be aware. Purple's a funny color, and for some reason I'm craving it, so it sort of works with these, it sort of doesn't. We'll see what happens. So, and you can see I put the little narcissus up on top of my easel there, the little narcissus pod, because it was pretty, and for some reason I'm fascinated by those now that they've appeared in the garden. So I give it another spray, and you'll notice me doing this a lot. The reason for it is not only does it keep the blessings moving throughout the painting, it causes interesting drips, as you can see are happening, and it also makes the paint travel more smoothly over the canvas. So I'm going to start out with one of these guys, nice big foam brush like we talked about, and I'm going to start with my lightest color, and I'm just going to, and it can be anywhere on the canvas. This is just one of the 3 colors that for you represent your first impression of your inner landscape. And it can be what you're craving, it could be just what feels really good right now as far as a color. And you can put it anywhere on your canvas, and it's okay if it all smears together. You can put it in any way on the canvas. So you can take it and smear it on, and then mix shapes, do interesting different things, patterns, and just play a little bit with each color. Give yourself, this is playtime, we're not doing anything too serious here, no one's gonna die, it's just paint. So enjoy yourself with it, don't be judgmental on yourself, try not to be too harsh. It's just the first layer of the painting. So this is the second color that for me, which I think was partially influenced by the original painting that inspired this course. Even though I didn't have the fluorescent orange at the time. But I think this might have been the color that I was craving originally, which is why I ended up going with those oranges, even though I didn't yet know that that was what I wanted. And I'm just making marks. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, I'm not planning anything. I'm just sticking it wherever. The only thing to keep in mind is that with paint, if you put color in one spot on a canvas, then you want to do it in 2 other spots, because things in 3s always look good. So I'll have that there, and then I'll do another one here. And this is going to get wet. Like, the canvas is going to get really wet. So what's going to happen is that we will have to wait before we do another layer. And then what that will do is give us time in between. You can see I'm just using the edge, just the outside corner, to make these little arrow shapes, which are kind of fun. I don't know why, but I'm having an urge for those little shapes. So I'm going to do them in 3 different places on the canvas. And this is the first layers, are where you start pulling in maybe some of the patterns that you saw. If there was stone, then you can do something that feels rocky, or moss textures. You can literally go out and get moss and then use it to smoosh paint around. Because these first layers are the ones that literally end up being the very beginning of everything. This is the third color that to me represents that inner landscape from our visioning. And it was really strange because it was almost a sunset, but at the same time sort of a sunrise. So there was all these purples and oranges and just these beautiful colors, really vivid, and I really was enjoying them. So I'm just going to add them in, and I'm just showing you some of the different marks that you can get with this particular kind of brush. You can use it as a bit of a dabber or a stamp, and it gives you longer lines. You can use the edge of it and pull, which can make some interesting marks. There was a forest in mine as well, so to me this sort of feels like some of the trees in that sunset. And these first layers, again, they do not have to be, don't be too attached to them, don't get too precious with them, because we are going to do more and more layers of paint over top. So there's no telling whether or not these will still be visible afterwards. They may not. There's no way to know, really, what might happen. And I'm just kind of enjoying this vague foresty tree thing that's happening. And if more words occur to you, you can write more in this layer as well. For me, I'm feeling the words open and flow. So I'm going to put those in there. Oh, and listen is also coming in. And again, they may stay, they may not. There's no way to really know what's going to happen. And then make sure you always put your brushes in some water if you're not going to wash them right away. You want to make sure that you don't let your brushes dry out with paint on them, because horrible, not a cool idea. And that is our first layer. I hope you're having fun so far, because I sure am.